Welcome back, guys. It is the Brothers Geek Out podcast. Today's Geek Out session, I'm joined by Midknightgaz. Oh my God. A host on the post-credit scene podcast
Yeah,
as well, which is absolutely amazing. Uh, and like your journey's been absolutely tremendous. We have met during with the community that we have in this, probably in the last year or so.
yeah,
Uh, and your the podcast itself is amazing. You guys have been able to do some great things. You guys did a live session, which I couldn't make, which was absolutely amazing as well. Like seeing that happen with fans must have been such an inspirational, motivational moment for you when you guys sat there and felt like, oh my God, all these people came to see. What was that like, bro?
wild, bro. Do you know what it was? I'll go into it briefly.
Yeah.
I was very unsure about doing a live show.
Mm.
Um, Not because I doubted our ability to do a show. It's more, well, people want to hear us. Like the fact people were willing to travel, part with their
Yeah.
money, part with their time. More importantly, because I think time is the most valuable thing we have as people.
Yeah.
To spend their time with us, to hear us talk about film and TV, share common love and interests, and maybe not so common loves and interests as well, was really, really cool. Different people from across the sort of community and wider were there. Some people hadn't even heard of us before, but they came and, oh, right, you guys talk about film and TV? Because I think some people don't realize it's in one sense, it's such a small niche in the UK, but then
Hmm.
within the space itself, there are lots of us here doing the same thing.
That's right.
So it was really cool, for people to discover us for the first time. To just, I don't know, yeah, I never thought a live show would be a thing. So not so soon, because it's been our this is our that was our third year at the time of doing the pod.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like when I hear live show, I tend to think of all the other creators that I listen to from like America, or
Yeah.
some of sort of the big podcasters, if you like. So that was really cool. It was quite a surreal day. Kind of just, I was just kind of like in a zone, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I only processed it after, I guess.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Like you guys have been running the podcast for a couple of years now, and like what was the inception of putting this together for you? Like,
So good question, brother.
yeah.
Always loved film and TV,
Hmm.
or movies, TV. Like it's always been a thing for me growing up. I spent a lot of time in university watching TV shows, just like
Okay.
binging because you have spare time, right?
Yeah.
A lot of time to kill, and that's what I spent my time doing. Fast forward a few years, we were in lockdown as everyone was, and
Hmm.
WandaVision came out,
That's right.
and I think that was the peak of like Marvel TV slash Disney Plus for Marvel at the time,
Hmm.
anyway. Hopefully, Daredevil, fingers crossed, is amazing. And
It
there
will
was
be.
just
It will be.
theories flying about, and in the group chat I was in with a friend, we just theorizing and talking about this and that. And then a friend of mine said, "Do you want to start a podcast?" And I said, "No." I said, "Nah." Nah, because of the perception, I guess, of podcasts as a whole, maybe I was being a bit self-conscious. I don't know.
Hmm.
I didn't see myself as a podcaster in the film and TV space because I spent time previously in the football space. I've been
Okay.
on lots of football podcasts in my time. Currently part of one now, to be fair, but I hadn't delved into the film and TV world because breaking down film and TV or talking about it from a fan perspective or a critical perspective is completely different.
Yes.
But yeah, fast forward, my friend knew somebody who wanted to start a podcast as well with his friend, somehow teamed up. Our first episode was like a retrospective look at the Spider-Man films because I think No Way Home was
Oh.
coming out at the time,
Yeah.
so the back end of December 2021, maybe.
Yeah.
And yeah, since then the podcast has just grown. We've added somebody called Basola, a lovely girl, who's joined us to make us five, which is cool. And yeah, we've done some really cool things since. All of which you have to take in your stride. Like the great
Hmm.
successes that you enjoy comes with a lot of hard work, a lot of graft, a lot of
Hmm.
patience with people, uh, because sharing work with people means you have to cooperate and compromise and be understanding that you have different perspectives, you want different things from it. But it's been good overall. I cannot complain about the podcast. We're in our full season now.
Yeah. I love that trailer. That's
Thank
so
you,
good.
appreciate it.
I love that
Appreciate
trailer. I was like, you've really incorporated the fandom into what you guys do. And I've been working on a trailer for our podcast for the past 5 weeks. And my brother's like, when are you going to release it, bro? And I was like, look, bro, I just seen somebody else's like podcast trailer. And I was like, that's actually really good. Because my influence is like more like I grew up with hip hop culture. So my brother was like, "Oh man, the trailer looks more like a hip hop video than like a podcast episode,
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
podcast trailer." So I was like, "It's because as I was in the creative field as a comic book artist, I jumped into video editing and
Mm.
filming, and I loved editing. So everything sounded like everything looked like my what I loved as a kid growing up, and watching your guys' trailer just made me say, okay, that's absolutely amazing. You guys put your fandom into something that you guys really enjoy and kind of go
Uh,
from there.
I'll
Uh,
be honest with you though, I'm not an Office guy. So
really?
yeah, yeah. I don't dislike The Office. I just think
Okay.
it's a bit overrated personally.
Hmm.
And I hate using the word overrated because it can be quite used loosely. I
Hmm.
think it's funny. I don't think it's that funny. If I understand people love it, so I don't critique it. Most of the team wanted to do an Office Space trailer. It's so popular in the world, so I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
be a team member, let's get it done, and it was quite fun to do on the day, So it seemed to work really well because people really resonated with it. So I have to credit Huss, who's sort of
Yeah.
the Huss is the he is the creative director and co-founder of his company 14 HQ, which our podcast falls under.
Hmm.
So he comes up with a lot of like creative ideas, I guess, in terms of how to market the podcast, which is more
Nice.
his role. Whereas I'm like, episode creator, I'm the host. I would like decide, come up with our ideas for the episodes and so on and so forth. Lead the sort of that side of things.
Yeah.
So he gets all the credit for the trailer, all of it.
Ah, awesome. Absolutely awesome. No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's nice to see that in the creative field. And this is like what like I'm going to segue into this and how have you been in general with trying to keep up with uh bro, last year I saw you at almost every event. We go out 3 times, 4 times a week. We're hardly home. We're doing the 9 to 5, the night shifts. How you been coping with all of those pressures?
You know what? That's a really good question because those conversations generally don't tend to arise with people.
Mm,
A lot of people have, I think, a false or misconception of this space, because they might see
yes.
you at a screening or a premiere. I mean,
Mm,
you guys are at a lot of stuff, man. So I'm really, really happy for you guys. And you know why I'm happy for you guys? Can I just say quickly, like you both, I don't, is it your brother you do it with
yes, I do it. My brother, he's based
in
across
Dubai,
the
right?
world now. Yeah, he's in Dubai now. Yeah.
Shout out to him. You guys just seem like top fellas, like really nice people, firstly. And it's easy for me to say that, but I like to see good people win, people that have good hearts, who have a
Mm.
genuine passion for what they do. Because not everybody thinks that way. So no, I'm really happy for you guys, firstly.
No,
But
thank
people have a
you.
no, you're welcome. People have a misconception of like, premieres and screenings. They're great. Don't get me
Hmm.
wrong. I've seeing stuff early is amazing. Getting invited is so cool.
Yeah.
But we still have to do. We have to wake up. Look, if you have children, you have to look after your children. If family members, 9 to 5, because I have a 9 to 5 as it
Yeah.
currently stands. Then I have the podcast that I do as well, which takes up a bit of time during the week. I have my own content that I make
That's
as
right.
well. So like finding the time to have time for yourself,
That's right.
because you have to remember, then you have to watch stuff at home, you have to watch stuff at
Hmm.
screenings. Do you have time to decompress, to spend time with your loved ones, to have
Just me
time to
time, bro. Just me
me
time.
by
Yeah.
myself, just not doing anything for a few hours is quite rare.
Mm.
So in terms of how I cope, I'm just about doing all right. Just about, like I'm good. I'm always grateful. So I always try
Yeah.
to see the bright side of things whilst edit. I have to do that edit today, or plan that episode. It could be so much worse for me,
Yeah.
And what I try to do as well, where I can, is bring my loved ones in what I do as well. So if, for example, I get invited to a screener and the podcast gang can't make it, or we've got some spares, I'll bring a friend to a screener and get
Yeah.
some time with them, or a family member, or somebody that I care about, just to I
Get the
get
time with them. Yeah.
yeah, spend some time with the people that I care about the most. So I'm okay. Could be better, but could be so much worse. And I'm grateful, man. Grateful.
No, I'm glad you could be open about that because I usually always tell. And recently had Mohammed Hashi on. I'm getting Trues on the episode as well. And I run myself to the ground last year. like literally run myself to the ground. I had a newborn. I was running around. I was doing all these events, and then I said to my brother, "Listen, bro, we need to find a contact out there because you need to do some of these screenings because I can't go to everything no more." And I was, even though I was really picky last year on what I did,
Mm-hmm.
I still was doing 2 to 3 screenings a week, which was uh,
Mad.
really tough, really, really tough. And
Crazy.
remember, we put all the good stuff up on socials, but I do tend to put more stuff about there. Like this is not easy. It's tough. This is hard work. Like again, editing video, doing your own content. I'm an artist as well, so I do freelance artwork for customers as well. So it's like trying to fit this abundance of stuff together and realizing, oh my God, I destroyed myself last year. I got bronchitis towards the end of the year, bro.
Oh man.
Yeah. And like, that's because I was just totally run down.
Mm.
And the wife was like, how do you look after yourself? Because she's been my number one supporter from day dot. So, and when you're not listening to your loved ones, and when your mum's like saying, you look tired, like, what you
Mm.
doing? So we started getting contacts abroad, which has been so helpful because my brother gets to do some of the screenings now abroad and he can
Nice.
do the reviews and everything. But I said I'll be specific on what I do this year as well. But letting other creators know that, the hardships of it is the rewarding part is getting to go. The rewarding part is getting to see the early reviews or doing interviews and things like that, which is always a humbling experience for me because again, some people would say we're still critics, but I'm still a fan. Like still a fanboy. Like when you're in the room with like Anthony Mackie or Harrison Ford, you're like, you can't help that little kid to still come out and be like,
Mm.
oh my God, like uh, that hard work that we put into the podcast is really starting to pay off. And we've been in it for 9 years now.
Amazing.
Nine
It's a graft,
years,
man.
9 years.
A really impressive graft.
Yeah. So 9 years and we've been doing it over Zoom and we've kept it to that. We've started to do some more live episodes. I think Michael Adji and Rob Island, who's put together this movie that was inspired by one of the episodes that we did the first live episode in a boxing ring, which was absolutely insane. And I'm looking forward to seeing Punch It Bag coming out soon. But
That's
uh,
man.
yeah, definitely, absolutely amazing. Uh, bro, your TikToks, like, because as you said, you do your own content, you do your own reviews as well.
Yeah, man.
You've got this really, you found your kind of style of how you do it as well.
Mm.
What was that like when you jumped on TikTok to say, oh my God, wow, this is like a whole different world? Because TikTok kind of blew up massively during COVID.
Yeah.
But how was that to add on to what you already look after?
It's a lot. I'll be so honest with you. It is a
Yeah,
lot. I'm someone that tries to be quite um I try to put out the best quality work, but I think the problem when I first started was I was too in the perfection.
yeah,
So when people, I'll get to your question, but it kind of
mm,
ties in. When people ask
yeah,
me, "Oh, how did you get into creating, or how do you find it?" My advice to them is just to do it,
mm,
and then over time you begin to find what works for you. You pick things up from other people, which isn't a bad thing. It's not stealing. It's taking inspiration but making it your own.
yeah,
You pick up things, you watch your videos back and you're like, oh, I could have done that differently. I could have spoken a bit slower there. I could have
mm,
emphasized why I'm intrigued by this. Just naturally you'll see things over time
yes,
in what you can improve in terms of your product. But the problem is you can be so self-critical to the point you don't put the work out. The more you put out, the more you're able to get back at some point, whether it's good or bad, whether it's people think that wasn't a good review or that wasn't a do it. My advice to people is do it, put it out, analyze after. Don't be
hmm,
so self-critical to the point where you don't do what you enjoy. I love filming TV and I love talking
yeah,
about it. And the best part is when people comment and they reply back. I don't care. I said to myself at the start of 2024, I don't care about likes anymore.
yeah,
I care about the comments. I care about interactions with people and
yes,
engaging
that's
and
right.
back and forth and discourse. That is the fun part. all the adulation, the likes, the whatever the numbers, that will come when it comes, and
Yeah,
it does come because if the quality of your work is there, it will come. But just enjoy the process of what you like to do. It took
passion.
me a while to
Yeah,
get there. It took me
yeah.
maybe a year to get to the point of okay, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to
Hmm.
present it. But it's always evolving as well. There's always like finding new ways to present the work I do in a more concise or in a more
Hmm.
interesting way. Different types of videos as well. Yeah, I try to keep it as fun as possible for myself, and then whoever resonates, they resonate.
It's really important, man. There's a key thing you said there, Gaz. Don't concentrate on the likes and the views. That will
But
come. I think that's such a big thing because uh, some people thrive for that. And you get a big following. I think there was a boom during COVID and the followings jumped up and the views were massive and the likes were massive. I mean, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. But then, you can bog yourself down on that because you're not remembering to enjoy it. And I think what you said there is that I'm enjoying this content because if I'm gonna like it, one person, if it connects with one person, then that changes everything because that one person will be like, look, this guy broke this down completely. You guys need to follow him or check out his videos, and it changes everything. And I think we've come to a society where it is likes and views, like the emails that we get from PR companies when they always want to see numbers. It's like it's like I'm trying to be like not just a fan but a journalist, but somebody who can represent the fandom as well. It's not
mm,
always been about the likes and views for us. I think that's been an important part. Like we didn't even have a podcast page until 3 years ago. We were doing it on my art page. We had
okay,
like 300 episodes on my art page.
crazy.
And then my brother was like, we don't even have a social media page for this, or we don't have a separate YouTube page for the content, or even the
Mm,
Apple podcast. We didn't have that. He was like, if we like really want to take this somewhere, why don't we just start fresh? And
mm.
we did that 3 years ago. We opened up the TikTok, Instagram, and all the rest of it, and Apple Podcasts. And I didn't realize, like, for creators that are listening right now, that they're all free platforms to kind of push yourself out there. Like, there's no costing in it. Like, once you put it out there,
Mm.
it's out there in the ether, and you're gonna connect with somebody, and you could just Gaz said as well, just do it, and then the rest of it will kind of fall into place. Like finding your style, and I learned that random videos do better than some context video with
Oh, brother,
substance.
listen, I had this conversation with Ken the other day, bro.
Yeah,
And we were just talking about there's sometimes you put so much effort into a video, like you edited it to perfection. It, to you, it's the best piece of work you've ever done, and
yeah,
like it flatlines, and you're like, I put so much effort into this, whatever. And then you just put out something that you always put effort into your work. There's that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
there's just some things that I guess, just naturally, you think, oh, I'm not that fussed about this particular piece of work.
That's right. That's
Put
right.
it out to the world, and it flies. It's crazy.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. The random stuff is the one that I've got. This one that when I was on the Lion King, I was doing some interviews there. Shout outs to Geek House Show, who helped, well, actually allowed me to help him film on the day because I love operating cameras and doing interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's such a random video of Aaron Paris, bro. Such a random video. He's just laughing at somebody. And it's like 200K views, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, what am I doing wrong? He's a good-looking dude, though, so I
Looking
can't. I
chap.
think
Yeah, I was gonna
that's
say
one
that.
of the. He's a good-looking dude, so I was like, all right, you know what? Props to him. Half the engagement on that was all women, so I was like, okay, a couple of guys in there, but
New audience. Why not? New audience. Yeah.
they were like, he's going to be an amazing Green Lantern, which I'm super excited for. Which kind of segues into your anticipated movies this year, bro.
Mm.
Which ones are those, bro?
Okay. There's a few. I'll list
Okay.
them, and then you can decide which ones you want to talk about. I'm intrigued by Thunderbolts.
Okay.
So intrigued by Thunderbolts. The trailers. I tend not to watch two trailers, but I watched both, and I liked
Same
both.
here. Same here.
I only watch one. Because as we've seen with Captain America: Brave New World, it probably better not to watch trailers. Probably better not to watch trailers.
100%, 100%, 100%.
Um, F4 naturally everyone.
Yes.
It's an amazing cast, Fantastic Four, Marvel's first family, if you like. F1, Damson Idris, Brad Pitt.
Mm,
I think Damson Idris is a very talented actor,
very, very.
uh, and I think it's a chance to see him in a big blockbuster with a lot of money behind it,
Hmm.
alongside a movie star of the ilk of Brad Pitt. They dropped a little teaser maybe just before Super Bowl last week Sunday. I was like, whoa, this
Hmm.
looks epic. If you can get like a great emotive sports story to go alongside the amazing sort of action and sound design, that could be a really good movie. And I think it was John Krasinski directed Top Gun Maverick alongside this. So
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
I'm
we're gonna feel it basically. He's gonna
I
make us
like
feel it.
I like to think so. Sinners is one as well with Michael B. Jordan, good actor. Him and Coogler have this sort of dynamic duo going on, which is really, really cool. It's got Haley Steinfeld as well. The car seems really interesting. Different premise. I mean, when I say different premise, I mean, I'm not going to spoil it actually for people that might not know. But yeah, Sinners with Michael B. Jordan is definitely up there. Is there anything else?
That's actually my most anticipated movie this year.
Oh, really? Why so?
Only because I didn't expect. So again, I'm with you on the trailers. I do trailer reactions, but I only do the first trailer reactions. I never do the
Okay.
second one because you mostly get the spoilers. But bro, when I saw that second trailer, because like it was intrigued to find out what is the premise on this, where they're heading with this, and Ryan Coogler just and Michael B surprised the hell out of me. They're giving us something totally different to what I
Mm,
expected. Where I'm like, oh my god, this could work. And I'm a big fan of the '80s movies that are based around that genre, without trying to spoil it for anybody.
for
But
sure.
it'd be interesting to see their take on this, like how it works on this side of it. Like it reminds, it's got that '80s '90s nostalgia of that kind of genre of movies. Uh,
Mm.
and that second trailer was banging, bro. Like the soundtrack on it was amazing, and uh,
Ryan
you
Coogler
know,
is so talented, man. He's
bro,
a really good filmmaker.
one of my favorites, bro. One of my favorites. I think one of my favorite scenes is still Creed One and that boxing scene, which is like the one whole cut,
Mm.
and that's the first fight. And I'm like,
Excuse me.
absolutely absolutely amazing. And he's done some great work. Fruitville Station is another one of my favorite films, bro. Like that, like the feels in that, bro. It's like, oh my god, like how can you make a grown man cry so much? Like it was insane, bro. And it's like and he did that with Black Panther. It was touching. It's a very touching story. It was a very big story as well. You're bringing,
Yeah.
you know, this big character onto the big screen. It's a lot of. I feel like directors burden a lot of responsibility when you're bringing big characters like that onto the big screen. Uh,
Especially when you're talking about it's of such cultural significance as well. Like it goes
yeah,
way beyond. Don't get me wrong. Like seeing Black Panther firstly itself is amazing on the big screen, and I think he was so well done in Civil War and Black Panther, the first film. But
yes,
like there was such a huge sort of cultural significance. Obviously, like me being a black guy or
mm.
black man, I say, seeing the way it impacted not just like black British people here, but across the
Oh
world, or
yeah,
just people, minorities, if you like, seeing that on the big screen and seeing it do so well globally, you it shows when a story is well told with heart and purpose, you can't beat it. So it was really, really cool. Question for you though.
hmm
What other films, if you had to name maybe two other films that you really are interested in this year, what would they be?
So Mickey 17 was one of them. Mickey 17 was one of them. And again, shout outs to Geek House show for giving me the invite for that. Walking the red carpet and seeing Batman himself there. Hulk as well was there. Uh, who else? Tony Collette.
Good actress.
Yeah, very good actress. She was amazing in The Juror 2.
I
Uh,
like that film a lot. I like
that's a
that film.
wicked film, bro. I love those movies. And Clint Eastwood still doing it and giving me that tense feel is insane. Uh, Really good. Who else? You got Stephen Yeun. Uh, oh man, hold up, man. Let me get the cast, man, because I need to give them credit because they were all absolutely amazing. Uh,
How was the event?
the event was really good. Busy, bro. Busy red carpet. Busy red carpet. And I'm like I've really changed in how I feel about some of those events as well because it's really rushed and it's like you don't really get to sink in the fact that oh my God, I'm walking the red carpet here and this is like a surreal moment for an everyday sort of person to just walk on a red carpet. And there's
Mm,
Robert Pattinson and there's Tony Collette there and like uh I met Andrew Lincoln, bro. Rick Grimes.
mad.
I met Rick Grimes, and I forgot to I love to share those key moments because it was a weird thing that how the universe works. Like 6 years ago that night, I drew an image of him as Rick Grimes for a customer, and that night, while I was having a quick smoke outside the cinema, somebody's looking at me, and and I'm like Andrew
Who's that?
Lincoln, and he,
Yeah.
and he was like, yeah, and I'm like Rick fucking Grimes, and he was like, yeah, and I was like this is so unusual. But he went to go support Stephen Yeun, who's like co-host in the Walking Dead series. What a
Yeah.
nice guy, bro! Like
I
we
word.
literally just chilled there while I had a smoke, and it was like uh just having a conversation. I was like, you know what, my brother is like the biggest fan of you,
Crazy.
and he's going when he finds out we just had a conversation while I was having a smoke is going to be insane. It's the stuff that happens after which is insane. During the event was really cool. I mean, uh, I think because I love science fiction and a good story being told, and I love visuals, bro. I think
Mm,
Robert Pattinson in this role as Mickey was insanely good, bro. That guy has got dynamic range on a different level because ever since I saw Good Times, I was like, I can't even believe that this is a British actor.
mm,
And the way he pulls off that American accent, he had like a New York, Brooklyn accent, and I was like, how is he doing this? Like, it
mm.
kind of makes me. I know they go through like vigorous training when it comes to language and how to speak things, but I'm like, I wouldn't even know. Like, the fact that I knew that Christian Bale was Welsh, I was like, what the hell? What's going on here? Like, it's amazing what actors can kind of push out there, and for characters that I adore. Like, I feel like Christian Bale was amazing as Bruce Wayne and as Batman as well. But then I think Robert Pattinson in this Batman brought something really different. But
That's my guy, man. That's my guy. That's my Batman. So yeah,
really,
I'm that's my Batman. Yeah, man. I love the Batman as a film. I think it's one of my favorites of this decade easily.
yeah,
Gotham is beautifully depicted
oof,
in
so
that
good,
film
so good,
with
so
the,
good.
the visceral color palettes and the cinematography from Greg Fraser,
Oh
incredible.
my God, Greg
Creates like
Fraser.
creates this like lived in, battered, gritty, dark Gotham,
Yeah.
which we haven't seen on screen for quite some time. Maybe you'd argue back to the Batman Begins in 2025. That was probably
Hmm.
the last time you felt like a Gotham had been truly like lived in and immersed, if you like. So if I could talk about the Batman all day, I would. So let me stop. But yeah, amazing film.
Yeah, no, I've seen all of your videos, bro. So I know you got enough love for that. Same here. I absolutely adored it. I feel like as much as Christopher Nolan's ones were grounded, this one had a different feel. It had more of a comic book feel to it, a comic book grounded feel to it, and it was like characters I've adored in the comic books, but to see it represented in that sort of way. And speaking to Matt Reeves, which was an absolutely amazing, insane moment,
Crazy.
was like hearing his thoughts on how he came across writing this character, the soundtrack, but what
Mm,
he wanted to give to the audience. Because again, you're not just introducing it to the older fans that absolutely love Batman. You're introducing it to a new audience. Plus, you've got a different like gothic style to this, which is amazing. Because I feel like he explained it in a way where I don't think you could have explained it any way better. Was that this is if you know about comic books, you know that there's Elseworld stories. And with those Elseworld stories, this is what this Batman is. It's an Elseworld story. So it won't match up to what you've seen before or what you've read before. It's going to be a totally different take on it. And there's a there's this unique feel to it when a different writer or when a different visionary director jumps on something like this. Because I think what he did with the Planet of the Apes series, the second one and the third one, was like, oh my God, Caesar all the way. Like, how have you done this to me? Because they're compelling stories, and I think he gave Bruce Wayne a really good beginning year two story, sorry. Uh, and yeah, visuals are stunning, bro. The visuals are stunning. I think what Greg Fraser did with those LED panels and still made it still so realistic. Like proper geek out moment from me, bro. Because I was like, I want Greg Fraser. I want to speak to Greg Fraser because how did he make Gotham look like the comic books?
Yeah.
Like I want to really speak to him because like he's done it with June. Like that is, insanely cool. But like I still want to know like how do you come across like visuals like that? Parts of it was shot in the UK, bro, which is crazy. You know,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
they film parts of it in the UK, and you're like, how did they do that? But sorry, I segued into the Batman. Oh, so passionate
It's
about it. So
easy to
passionate.
do. I don't blame you. It's all good, brother. I don't
Segue
blame you.
right into it. Where else? There was. Your favorite movie, bro? Do you have a favorite movie or TV show of all time, which you kind of always go back to?
Um, all right, I'll give you like maybe two movies.
Okay.
Inception is one I watch quite
Ooh.
often. And I still pick up things every time. I'm like, oh, I missed that. Like, I didn't see that the first time or the second or the third. How did I miss that? That's why I kind of enjoy rewatching things, not too often, but often
Mm.
enough. And I'm gonna go on with more recently, probably the Batman in more recent
Yeah.
times. I love that film so
Okay.
much. So those are my two I'd say for now. I really like American Gangster as well, as like
Yeah.
a just as a Denzel fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm a huge Denzel, like that's my guy. So I'd say those three are like my favorite, maybe movies. Trying to mix in sort of old classics. Although Inception's not that old enough.
No, Inception is the classic, bro. Regardless, I saw that
Yeah.
film eight
Okay.
times in cinema.
Cool. I'll take it.
When my
TV.
friend was like, you bought a ticket again to go watch it again," I was like, "You guys go home, man. I need to figure out what the hell is going on in here."
Mm,
Uh, it's one of my all-time favorite films. That's in my top 10 of favorite films ever.
oh, mad.
Like,
And then TV shows because
yeah,
I'm a huge TV guy as well.
yeah,
Some of these are like, oh, he's like a geek, typical. But The Wire is one of my favorite stories told
oof,
of all time.
wicked,
And
absolutely.
I think the thing about The Wire is people, if you hadn't watched the series before, your
Mm,
perception of it would be typical gangs, street crime, drugs, narcotics, police, boring. But the series isn't telling you about good people or bad people. It's telling you
that's
about
right.
a corrupting system that enables people to either be corrupted by the city itself, it's like Baltimore's character in the city, which
That's right.
overwhelms these characters and makes them who they are. It makes Stringer Bell who he is. It makes Avon Barksdale who he is. It makes McNulty, who's trying to be a good cop but always ends up doing something silly, be a bad cop or a bad person. That's why it's so interesting. It's telling you with each season, it's telling you about the system and different factions of the system which are failing the people of Baltimore. So season one, I'm geeking out here, sorry. Season
No, no, yeah,
one
go for it.
Season one is the streets. It gives you the basic understanding of what the problem is, narcotics being sold in Baltimore. Season two tells you
Mhm,
how the narcotics are coming in and the struggles of the dock workers and so on and so forth. Season three then ties in politics and how politics impacts and those decision makers at the top impact police sort of police procedure and so on and so forth,
mhm.
and how drugs are essentially accepted and allowed to be sold to yeah, I'll go with that. Season four delves into education and how the educational system is failing these kids, and that's how they end up on the streets, which ties into politics because politics and education go hand in hand.
Mhm.
Politicians will decide, for example, on education procedures and sort of what they want the education system to look like. That impacts the education system, and then that's how you get the kids on the streets selling narcotics. And then season 5 dives into the media and the way in which the media can portray, can tell stories, can decide which stories they want to tell, which
Narrative,
stories should
yeah.
be told, shouldn't be told. It's all one cohesive story, whether you like all 5 seasons or not. Because some people don't like season 2, some people don't like season 5. There's a cohesive story being told about the Baltimore system and the system as a whole, rather than, oh, you're a drug dealer, you're bad. But
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
why?
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Why are they bad?
Yeah.
Like, why did they end up in a situation where they're doing that? That doesn't take away accountability, because some people still do bad things in this world. They're not good people, and that's fine. But why did you get there in the first place? So,
Exactly.
The Wire, Game of Thrones, typical classic.
Mhm.
Um, um, yeah, The Wire, Succession. I love Succession as well, but I'll get into that another time maybe. So those
That's
are some
good.
of my
That is good.
favorites.
All
So
right,
those are
cool.
some of my favorites. Oh, sorry. You've probably seen it all over my TikTok by now. Daredevil, man.
Oof.
It's in my top
Oh,
10. It's in my top 10.
bro,
I think this is.
Daredevil is insanely good. Like every
Why do you
time I
like
watch it again, I miss out on it. Uh, I love his internal battles and his religious beliefs, and how he battles with that. That's what I take from it. I've always taken that from Daredevil because sometimes my faith will conflict with some of the things that I do. Some of the things that I believe in, some of the things I stand for as a human being. But he has a constant struggle, bro. And there's a quote that came out recently that really hit home again, and it was like, oh my god, this is why I love this character. Matthew talks. I think he's speaking to the nurse. I think this is season 2 or 3. I can't. Season 2, I think. No, I think it's season 3 after he got really bad. Is it season 3? I
so?
have to read. I
Yeah,
have to do it.
the defenders. He basically got. I think he fell from something, and he was in a bad way, and then he gets picked up by Sister Maggie and Father Lantern for season
Yes,
3.
that's right. So I think he was. The conversation was with Sister Megan. It was like the world is you know, we don't see the beauty that God sees in the world. The tapestry that He's created, the
Mm,
tapestry that we see from behind the world as us. He sees the beauty, God, but we see all the ragged parts, which is the threads and the broken parts and the cloth that's put together,
I'm with you.
and that's what we see as human beings, and it's what we take from the good and bad of that. And it was like, I'm not Catholic, I respect all the religions in the world, but that hit home so badly because at the end
Mm,
of the day, we all won, and most of the narrative is almost exactly the same with different changes in between. Uh, but I took heavily. I was respected him as a character about his mental health battles, the struggles he has to day life, his friendships, his love story. Born Again is Frank Miller, what he did in the comic book, to see it represented on the big screen. It's about this broken man who grew up in this weird society that lost his dad, and he's trying to find his way, bro. And even with doing the vigilante stuff, that it's either he's taking it way too far, or he needs to dial it back a bit. Like, he's always having constant conflicts, and I think as us human beings, that's us. Like, even though he's got the super hearing and the agility, he's still us. Like, and I think with those grounded level heroes is that we get part of us in those stories as well. I love that show. I'm so looking forward to the new one. So looking forward to it. But I
how you
hope they can
feeling?
stick. Yeah, I'm a bit skeptical, a bit scared about the marketing at the moment now. I haven't watched any more trailers ever since they released that one. Uh, they've got a couple of TV spots out. I think they released another trailer yesterday, which I haven't watched.
Hmm.
50-50 I'm on this because
Mm,
I've seen what Disney are doing at the moment, which is horrible because I shouldn't really say that because I love the MCU. You know,
mm.
I grew up with Phase One not being a fan because it wasn't close to the comic books. I was one of those geeks was like, oh man, they're doing this all wrong. This is nothing like the comic books. This is nothing like what I read. But then
Mm,
I realized after I saw Avengers, I was like, oh my God, they just created their own cinematic universe.
mm.
and then I ended up watching it all again and falling in love with it again.
Mm,
And but with Phase 4, they took some big risks, and I'm gonna always uh, uh, praise big risks, but it was quantity over quality. You know, you lost the characters, like, and jumping onto like what they did with Captain America: Brave World, and some people maybe not like my decision on it. Yeah, I haven't seen the movie. I've only seen 30 minutes of it, but from what I saw in that 30 minutes was like, you've seen it, right?
yeah.
This was Sam's movie to shine. This was Anthony Mackie's movie. Why the fuck did you shoehorn all of these unknown characters we did not need? Because
Mm,
this was supposed to be Sam's story. This was him going into what, after the big speech at Falcon and Winter Soldier, for him
hmm
to take on the mantle of Captain America, to, you know, shoehorning all of these unknown characters that are not related, and then the incohesive story because they did massive research because of what's happening around the world right now, and still putting a character that is an absolute shithead in the comic books and turning her into a Black Widow didn't make any difference, because you don't realize that you've got still 20 to 30% of the community that is not for that.
mm,
You've got fans, you've got a lot of fans, but then
hmm
when you shoehorn all these characters that don't make sense to, it was supposed to be Sam's movie, bro. And my brother, when he watched it, he came out, he was like, I'm really upset with what they did with this. Like,
mm.
that was Anthony Mackie's movie, and they shoehorned all of these people in there, and it was like, we could have got a really good human grounded story about this character. And Sam in the comics is absolutely inspiring, bro.
I said the same thing in my review. I'll try not to spoil it for anyone in
Yeah.
case people haven't seen it yet. But my first thoughts were, this feels like a mismatch of different ideas,
Yeah.
stories, and scripts into one film, which affected the pacing. Because at
Yeah.
times I was watching, I was like, I'm kind of bored. You've tried to be a political, intriguing thriller, which I love about
Mm,
those
yeah.
last two Captain America films, especially.
Yeah.
There was a lack of like philosophical debate or a pull, in my opinion, in this film. Now, I don't want this to be like Winter Soldier or Civil War, but what made
No.
those films so good to watch, which I mentioned on the pod, is those emotional ties between the characters. So what you
Hmm.
have is, when you see Bucky fighting Cap on the bridge in Winter Soldier, the fight is not just intriguing because it's got some amazing action sequences, which it does. It's
So
unreal
good. So
choreography.
good, bro.
The choreography when he threw the knife in the air, caught it, boom, amazing. But that dates back to their relationship in First Avenger. That's why that's
Hmm.
so interesting to watch, because there's a bond. The same with Tony Stark and Cap, dating back to the first Avengers film.
Mm.
They've been in maybe like maybe two films together. I think they did Avengers and then Age of Ultron before Civil War.
Yeah.
Their relationship had been built over time, and obviously it even dates back to Cap's relationship with Tony's dad. That adds the layers of the intrigue when you see them fighting against each other. This
Yeah.
they just brought characters into the film which didn't make sense. For me, you could have really delved into, from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, Sam's racial and political struggles and social struggles in this world of being the first Black Captain America in a world
Yep.
which isn't fully accepting of him. Why are you scared to tell that story when it's a real story that's been told in the comics
100%.
anyway? Dive into that. Instead, we get a mismatch, sorry, of
Yeah.
different films, different projects, some of which make sense, others which personally I don't think it made sense to do so. And then you give a lot of your film away in the trailer.
Oof.
Don't know.
I thought they learned from their mistakes when they did, all the way from, Doctor Strange and the madness of Multiverse of Madness. You think you'd learn from that? I mean, how you show Professor Xavier in the trailer, man? Like, this is insane. Like, why didn't you let us wait for those moments? It's like, and that's why I said, like, the next Fantastic Four trailer, I don't want to watch, because the fact that they already showed Galactus, it was like, oh, guys, come on,
Mm,
please, 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 like, come on, like, and that was the first trailer. So you're like, okay, I'm not gonna watch no more, because
no,
this is,
I'm
and
done.
I think that their marketing team, I feel like, and I've been in marketing for 10 years. Uh, why are you giving away the best stuff? Like that's the stuff that people will scream about in the cinema, and that's how they did the marketing with Endgame. Was they didn't show us too much, and they showed us stuff in the trailer which wasn't even in the movie after, just to keep us hyped. So misdirection, which is great, but now you just blatantly just spoiling stuff. Like I
Yeah,
heard like Hulk is not even in this movie. Sorry for like any spoilers, but if you guys ain't watched it, this episode don't come out till next week, so you still got a week. Like like 5 minutes.
I won't confirm or deny, but I was really. It could have, yeah, they could have done that better, is what I will
Okay.
say.
It's interesting because like and this goes into like the industry side of the conversation was like, uh we get in what do you think with the oversaturation of movies that we've had since COVID? Because we had the writer's strike, we had the SAG strike, and then I feel like we haven't had a moment to breathe and let some of these movies become like cult classic. Like, last year we had movies like Furiosa and uh June Part Two, which is still amazing. I think that movie has like uh, a lot on it. Uh, but I feel like movies like Furiosa and some other movies, movies are kind of falling out. It's like Black Panther 2. Like Wakanda Forever, I think is a great movie. Not many people really talk much about it, but it didn't have space to breathe because within a couple of months it was already on streaming. So how do you find the industry now when it comes to giving us the content but not letting it breathe because it comes out on VOD like a couple of weeks later? They did that with the Fall Guy, which I was upset. I really enjoyed that movie. That was a fun. It reminded me of 80s action movies.
Mm,
And bro, not even 4 weeks, it was already ready to download on streaming. And I was like, how? Like this is such a good
mm.
piece. Like, but how you finding it? How you finding that, bro?
It's interesting. I think it replicates the real world we live in
Mm,
of like fast food consumption of
mm.
food,
That's a
art
good.
as a whole, music, the whole streaming sphere as a whole enables fast food consumption where you listen to an album, someone who's put maybe like anything from months to years into that particular piece of work, and you listen to it and it's just on to the next and it's on to the next, which makes it harder, I think, for you to genuinely have bodies of work, whether it's film, TV, music, art as a whole,
Mm.
that has the chance to be deemed, as you mentioned, prestige or
Yeah.
classic, because by the time you've consumed it, it's on to the next and it's on to the next, which, we kind of, I guess, are partly at fault of because we want to consume the next thing as well. But I just think it enables less space for art to be consumed how it should be.
Mm.
So when people ask me, when you go to a screening or get a screener, people are like, "What did you think of the film?" I'm like, my boy, I'm not calling him out, but he's like to me, "What do you think of Cat 4? I need a review from you." I was like, "Bro, I
I
need to
haven't
process.
processed it.
I want to process the film. I want to know how
Yeah.
I truly felt because there's been times where I've said I really didn't like that film, and I've changed my opinion on it a week later or 2 weeks later." And I get because he wanted to know whether I think the film's worth watching.
Mm.
When I give my reviews, especially when it's more so when it's like negative or neutral, I always say find that for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
That's right.
think
Constructive feedback. Yeah.
I think the film wasn't good, but go and find out for yourself whether you think it's a good film.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing like someone telling you something's not good and you've missed out on an opportunity to consume a great piece of art because someone said they didn't like it. Find out for yourself. So yeah,
Yeah.
streaming is just kind of made everything fast food to the point where studios will pull a film out of the theaters within a week or two if
Mm.
it's not done a certain amount of numbers.
Yeah, it's difficult, man, because I feel like there's a lot of movies that have come out that haven't been able to breathe and become cult classics, and they could become cult classics because, you know, me from being an 80s baby to indulging, pop culture during the 90s and absolutely having love for some of these movies because, bro, if I saw it in cinema, it would take 7 years to come out on TV. I think it's like 3 years before it's on VHS. So you had a movie take time to have that cult classic kind of breathing period, like and we don't. I don't. I feel like we can't appreciate. For me personally, I don't feel like you can appreciate some of the art that's come out, and like I think like with like Mickey 17, it won't get the love that it deserves because it's actually really good cinema, and
Looking
it's a
forward to it.
fun time. Yeah, it's like really, it's outlandish, bro. And I love outlandish movies where you've got you have your political statement, you have your real world things to it, but you have your comedy, and then you have this really strange science fiction uh, premise to it. I think there was a movie that came out on Netflix, which I feel like didn't get a lot of love, which was with John Boyega, Jamie Foxx, and I forgot her name.
Letitia Wright?
Yes, that's right. They cloned. Oh, what was it called?
They clone Tyrone.
Yes, bro. That movie, like, I love movies like that because, like, it's one movie, but it turns into this whole different other movie, and you're like,
Mm,
what? I did not expect that, but it was such a good film. But then again, not many people spoke about it because it wasn't one of those. It's not a big budget crazy movie, and I feel like I'm moving on to want to be able to appreciate that type of movie making because I feel like it's more effort, it's more creativity. So I want to be able to see things breathe a little bit more as a
yeah, for
fan
sure.
because I feel like as we're in this industry, we're consuming so much. And as you
Mm,
said, like I don't like doing those on the spot reviews no more because somebody did that to me last year. I was upset. I was like, bro, take that clip down, bro. I didn't really
mm,
like the film, but I said it out of excitement because we were all hyped. And
mm,
that's the one good thing about the community. You come out of a screen and we're all hyped. We're seeing each other. Which I think is a great community, which is absolutely amazing. I've got to know so many people along the journey, and
mm.
it's like when I started this 9 years ago, bro. I think my first screening was 7 years ago,
Crazy.
and it was like nobody like us there, bro.
You've
Nobody
seen
like
you've
us
seen it
there.
evolve over time, yeah.
It's been absolutely amazing, bro, because it's like, when you're getting invited to go onto other people's shows or give your opinions about what you think about movies and the world and the rest of it, it's an amazing, humbling experience. Like, shout out to the Small Times critics because they were the first one that had me on a live show ever, and I was a little bit nervous. They perfectly timed it so that my brother was here from abroad. He was living in Singapore at the time,
Right.
and it opened up our world because they inspired us to change the formula of what we were doing
Mm.
and inspired us on how we do podcasts moving forward as well and like doing interviews and stuff like that, which is absolutely amazing because you don't realize how you guys can inspire one another.
For sure.
Like
I think that's the
it,
part. That's why like as cliche as it might sound, community in any realm is so important because one, you can learn so much from each other. You can offer support networks.
yeah,
Um, not everything has to be a competition or like oh like
gatekeeping. Oof,
oh yeah, it's probably the worst.
gatekeeping. Oof,
Where yeah,
oof,
don't get me started, pal. Don't. Yeah, it makes me yeah.
and it's
That's
hard. It
yeah.
was really hard, bro. At one point, like when we tried to make this go a bit more serious, like when we got that first screening, that was by mistake. But shout out to the Geek still because he was the one who got me that invite. So I'll always thank the people that helped me along this journey. Uh,
Amazing.
and he has been a crucial part of why we started the podcast because we started getting more invites, but then it was like, oh man, where's the other people, man? Where's my people's here, man? What's going on? Like, I'm the only one here, and it was hard to have conversations. I still feel like I had imposter syndrome. I still feel like that sometimes, depending on
Mm,
situations. Because when I do interviews, like press junkets and stuff like that, I still feel like shit. Am I the right person doing this? I've overcome those, but I've really, at the beginning, bro, it was tough. It wasn't easy.
I can imagine.
7 years
I can
ago,
imagine.
bro, like being in that room, and they always say, be in that room. You never know who you network with, which was amazing. I got to know some great people along the way on the journey. I mean, I got to meet Mark Camone, man. Like that's a big thing as a person who watches his like reviews of movies to actually meet him in person to say he was like, just go for it and speak your mind about things. You never know
Mm,
where it goes. That really played a big crucial part to what we do now because of
amazing.
it was my brother's idea doing this podcast. It wasn't mine. He lived abroad and we're quite a close knit family. So when he moved to Hong Kong 10 years ago, we lost that connection. And that happens with friends, family. When you move 10 minutes down the road, you're not going to see everybody as much as you want or call anybody. You know, calls will go from every day to 1 week to 6 months to a year. And he was like I really miss the brotherhood that we had because three brothers and I've got a little sister as well. And he was like a big fan of Joe Rogan at the time, and he was like,
Oh,
"Bro, let's just record ourselves on Skype and just throw it up on your YouTube channel." And I was like, "All right, cool." But I was like, "It's an art channel. I don't think anybody will enjoy it." I didn't realize, and that was at the peak time of like Marvel Phase 3, Civil War. We're going into
oh,
Infinity War, so like we started right at a good time. We started at,
for sure.
and it's been ongoing, but it's a like community so big, bro. Like seeing everybody now and the way kind of everybody supports each other. Ken's got this really good Discord at the moment where he shares people's context. You can have conversations in there as well. Uh,
Yeah, do you know what's so interesting?
yeah,
On the Discord, we obviously me and Ken speak quite often.
yeah,
Great guy, man. We
yes,
were speaking
shouts.
about like just obviously there was a community at the time. This was just before summer. There was the community was there in terms of outside of screenings and screeners. But I was part of an American Discord where they had essentially creators talking, sharing content, talking, sharing ideas, etc. And we both discussed like, why not just do the same thing here? And then he set it up, which is huge credit to him because doing that took a lot of time and effort.
Mm,
Bringing people into the Discord, and it's done a lot of good things for a lot of people. He's one of the few people that I can say has a genuine, like, just amazing good heart who wants
mm.
people to succeed. You know, he's so selfless.
No,
Um,
he is, bro. He is. He was like sometimes some of the messages I get is really amazing and like it's heartwarming, bro. Like you know when
mm,
somebody credits you about your work, as much as it's a humbling experience, it's like here's a guy who really enjoys some of the stuff that we do. Uh, uh, it's been really he's been really kind. He's been kind to me as well, bro. And shout outs to Ken because that was a really humbling moment. And like, you know, when somebody else shares your work and stuff like that, not just your the cool things, but like your artwork and like you know, as an artist, like it's always amazing to see other people share that work as well. And like
yeah, for
uh
sure.
he's done that from day dot since we started like seeing each other's work from last year. So shout outs to Ken, man. That's amazing. I do need to be on Discord more. I It's so much to look after. Like you end up thinking, how do you guys take on responsibility like that, bro?
Um, yeah, it's a lot because people have different opinions. It can get a bit hostile, which is
Yeah,
interesting in and of itself. But I think the good outweighs the what you could perceive the quotation marks bad. Bad
yeah,
is being used very loosely, because people are able to share ideas and thoughts and content and potential contacts. It's really cool because some people have never, not to sound like, oh, look at what we've done or look what Ken's done. It's more like some people hadn't been to a screener before,
yeah,
or they didn't know how to write an email to a PR, but you can just drop someone a message. How do I contact these guys? It goes
yeah,
to like the whole Discord, I think, showed a lot of people you don't need 20K followers, 10K followers. You need to be able to articulate yourself correctly. You need to be able to state what you're looking for. You need to just have
yeah,
content that's ready to go, that they can see that you know, proof of your work and proof of your value.
yeah,
And I found that to be just so rewarding. Like you know, when the podcast first got into the industry, luckily we had Hus who had worked as a PR before, so but you know, finding a way to approach these people for the first time, which so last year July,
yeah,
first time I had reached out for my own sort of work to these studios and PRs and all new, but Ken put me on and said, "This is how you go about it," so on and so forth. So I think that's the great thing. And forget the screeners and screenings, all of
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Just having a place where you can talk about film and TV is quite cool.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Which goes into you've done some great episodes, some great interviews, bro. Uh, there's so many to pick out from because when I was going through like your TikTok and Instagram, I was like, you know what? Where do I start? Where do I start? Uh,
Appreciate it.
What's been your favorite one? That's what I ended up going with because me picking one out is not fair. But for you, like, what was the greatest experience in an interview, whether it was on the red carpet or in the studio itself? Which one
Oh,
was your favorite?
oh, that's good. So, favorite interview was probably Lashana Lynch.
Oh, I love that episode.
It was for the Day of the Jackal. It was this. It was no like November last year. The Day of the Jackal was one of the most popular shows last year.
Hmm.
I was already interested in the show prior to that, so getting to speak to her was really cool. I also had my own, like, for my own TikTok, I had my own campaign to go alongside that. So it all kind of like unraveled into one snowball. But
Hmm.
she was so lovely. It was so interesting. So Huss, who, as I mentioned before, is sort of the creative director of the podcast, for the live show, he reached out to her management team to come on to the live show. And she said, oh, we'd love to, but we're busy, but we'd love to maybe do something in November. LaShawna's got a show coming out. Now, when people say things like that, you think, oh, God, just
Hmm.
kind of keep us sweet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Fast forward, her team then emailed us, maybe like September. Guys, want to follow up on, the interview? I was like, what?
Oh.
I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. They're following up on us. What's going on here? This is wild. Horse was dealing with the team and stuff. It ended up being us having like a podcast episode. So everything
Wicked.
else she had done for the Day of the Jackal, to my knowledge, prior that week were junkets, five,
Mm.
10 minutes, 5, 10 minutes here. You know how junkets go.
Yeah, yeah,
Rush you out of there to get the next person in. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Well, we managed to sort of shape the room how we wanted, brought in our microphones, some of our set design. We kind of created the room how we wanted.
Mm.
Spent maybe like 40 minutes with her talking about her journey, talking about the show,
That's
talking about
amazing.
being sort of a black woman in the industry. Unreal. So for anything, yeah, it goes to show, like, if you've got a passion for something, put the right amount of work in, right amount of work. You need a bit of luck. You might need to know the right person here or there, but you can create that relationship with people just by being a good person.
100%.
And then the rest is up to the higher beings up there who will decide what fate is decided for you.
What fate? Oh, bro. That's it.
You
I'm gonna
need
use
luck.
that as a
You need
quote.
luck,
I'm gonna
bro.
put that as a quote.
You need luck. This
100%.
you have to work hard. You have to know the right people, etc. And you need a bit of luck because not everything is because you're amazing. It's just not. It's not true.
100%. 100%. Ah, I love that. I'm using that as a quote. That was a great episode as well. That's so because it's a humbling experience when they can sit there with you longer and kind of really just enjoy the moment and answer the
Just
questions
chill.
properly. Because, bro, sometimes I've been in situations where I'm like, why am I here? This just
They don't
ruined.
want to be here,
They
so
don't
why
want to
do
be
I?
here. It's hard enough. And if you ask the wrong questions as well, where you don't have enough time to kind of prep, like I remember James Gunn for Peacemaker, and they
Okay.
gave me a couple of hours notice because somebody else had dropped out. And I was like, oh, I haven't had enough time to prep. And James Gunn is such a visionary director and writer. Bro, that first question fell flat. It died. It was dead. Dead.
Is it?
It was dead. Like he gave me a one-word answer, and I was like,
No.
kill
How
me
did you
right
save it?
now.
I know you saved it.
I
How did you
saved
save
it.
it?
Yes, I saved it. So the next clip, which I don't, you know what? I'm going to share that failure. I've still got the clip. I'll share that failure. Uh, I saved it because I'm a music person. I love music. And James Gunn's always had a love for bringing old music and introducing it to a new crowd. So I saved it with the kind of punk rock that he brought to Peacemaker. And like, what is it, the love for this music that you have for each of these characters that suit them so well? Because if I was to read a Peacemaker comic book, the soundtrack is perfect match because it like
Mm,
works so well. And like, he done that
that's
with
really
Guardians
amazing.
of the Galaxy, bro. Because Guardians of the Galaxy, again, remember, characters that nobody knew. And if you see the comic books, half the characters are not even exactly the same.
Mm,
There's a lot of changes that he made to bring these characters in there, but then you bought soundtracks to suit each and every one of these characters, which is
amazing.
insanely good. Anyway, saved in that moment.
So,
Uh,
so cool.
but yeah, they're difficult. They're not easy at all. There's like, how do you be true to the fullest of yourself as a fan to be able to introduce this to your listeners and your watchers? Like, uh, So amazing. That episode was a great episode.
Appreciate it,
Well,
man.
there's one more. There's one more in there. I'm sure there's another interview done on the red carpet that was like, okay, I can't believe that's happened.
Yeah. First one, maybe. We did it as a podcast. Our
Ah,
first one was Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
wow.
First junket with
Wow.
Letitia Wright, man, which was wild, bro.
That must have been insanely good.
Firstly, she was so cool, like so chill and down to earth. Lovely, lovely human being. She clearly loves the Black Panther franchise. You could see her love for the film, her love for Chadwick, which was such a tragic moment for them as a cast to like lose
Mm,
him and then still have to make the film and sort of make the film in his honor, but also have a story to tell that goes, I guess, beyond that. I think that film itself dived into some really interesting sort of political, interesting intrigues as well. But
100%.
the
100%.
interview itself was so cool. She was chill, she was fun, she was bubbly. We played some games with her. We spoke to her about her role as sort of the new Black Panther. We spoke to her about Dominic Thorne, who was Ironheart. Yeah, she was
Yes,
Ironheart.
that's all right. Yeah.
So she sort of the mentor role she played with Dominic Thorne on and off screen, as it being her first MCU film, and then obviously them being sort of characters who are tied together. Really
Yeah.
cool, two intelligent young black women as well. So it was really cool to sort of be able to tie the real world with sort of the Marvel world, and then her journey as an actor. Seeing, because I think I first saw her in Top Boy back in like
Yeah.
2011.
Yeah. 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 That's right. Yeah.
To be able to speak to someone that I used to watch on TV when I was a kid myself, and her journey, she's now a superstar if you like. So it was amazing.
Yes. It's an insane moment, right? Like mentally, how do you kind of cope with that? Because I still get nervous. Like my nerves destroy me. If I don't do like 100 push-ups and like 100 jumping jacks before an interview, you know, everybody at Junket so far that see me is like, "Hey, what the fuck you doing?" I'm like, bro, I'm nervous as like I'm nervous. So if I don't
Mm,
do these push-ups and star jumps, you're gonna see a shaky Kibs on the cam, and I don't want to be that guy because you know, when you love something so much,
you don't want to get it wrong.
you
Yeah.
exactly. How do you deal with that, bro? Like you've been in a good couple of situations where you're like, do you still get quite nervous?
Yeah, I'm a prep freak. So that
Yeah,
helps me. For the pod itself, especially, I'm the guy
yeah.
that kind of like plans questions or gives at least the people on the pod, some history behind the
Mm.
actor or the film itself, so that you have some prior knowledge in case you haven't seen it or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a prep freak, so I like to have my questions ready and then I'll freestyle from there. So
Okay.
I'm not. So at least I know what the base of my question is, and then I can make it as natural as possible rather than trying to
Mm.
read line for line or whatever. Have my base, work from that. Prep always helps me. I do get
Mm.
nervous. I think nerves can be a good thing though if you can channel it into showing that you care or you're interested in the person that you're speaking to. That's all you can do, and then the rest is kind of up to them if they want to speak. You got to remember as well, it's hard for these guys, man. Like
Yeah.
sometimes when I and that's why I put a lot of prep in.
Mm.
Excuse me, because
That's all right.
these actors, directors, producers, you got to remember they've put so much craft in and time into their work. One,
Mm-hmm.
two, they're going to then be asked possibly a lot of the same questions asked in different ways, repeating similar answers to the similar questions. So
Mm.
the way I try to put a lot of prep into this because of the amount of time and effort that I know they've either put into it or they've had to give to the day itself.
100%.
Um, and so and they are human beings.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's right.
I try and channel it like I'm just talking to someone about something I'm interested in that hopefully they are as well, and go from there. But nerves are a thing for sure.
That's good. That's good. All right, bro. You know what? I want to thank you so much for coming onto the show and geeking out with us. And uh, really grateful, bro. And I'm glad we crossed paths because both of us we're in that same industry and that community there. But I really want to touch base on some of the stuff that the listeners come in to give me questions about how some of these
Mm,
creators are surviving through this and how their mental health states on this as well. And the honesty has been absolutely amazing. And the journey itself, man. As much as I can say I'm proud of you guys, you should be so proud of the work you guys have put together as well, because you put out content that connects with people that could change a decision or a process or motivate them or inspire them in some sort of way. And I think it's really important to have us representing that, which is absolutely amazing. So super, super, super thank you for coming onto the show. So before I let you go, bro, and this is
Mm.
something that I do with a lot of the creators that come on here, is if there's anything you would say for somebody that's looking to start into any type of this field, what would you
Yeah.
say to them?
My message that I gave. Well, firstly, before I do that, I just want to say thank you to you for having me. Much, much appreciated. I've really enjoyed our conversation. I think what makes you guys as a duo so unique is you combine your love for fandom, for film, for TV, for art, alongside passionate, humane life situations and issues that are affecting the world right now, which I think is so powerful in of itself. I hate seeing what's going on in the world right now.
Mm,
And you guys bring it up in a way that not many people do, which I think is really cool and really
thank you.
important. It's not even cool, it's so important because not everybody has the grace or the capability of touching on such important topics. Not everybody has the articulation level or
Hmm.
the level of knowledge needed to do so either. And I think
Yeah,
you and it's important. But you also then like make film and TV sound so fun and interesting alongside that, which makes you guys so unique. So shout out to you guys firstly for that and thank you.
thank you, bro. Thank you, thank you.
Um, in terms of advice, it just goes back to what I said at the beginning. Don't overthink it.
Hmm.
Do learn from mistakes, correct, make the next one better. My advice is so simple. There's always going to be another video to make, another script to write, another review to write, another preview to do.
Mm.
You there's another one coming the next day. So whatever happens with that particular one you do, don't overthink it. On to the next.
Ah, amazing, absolutely amazing. So, guys, you can follow Gaz with all the
Yeah,
links in the description right now. Yeah. So usually I get everybody to say all of their Twitters and all the rest of it. I'm not going to do that. Go into the description, guys. Follow the podcast. Follow Gaz on his journey as well. Follow the podcast page as well. Do not miss out on that. Uh, you guys are in for a treat, and that's the one thing I love about this show is that now I'm seeing my listeners, some of the listeners collaborating with you guys, which is absolutely insane to see. So
that's so
shout
cool.
outs to Y2K2 Illustrator. He's an artist. His name's Yusuf. He recently jumped on an episode with Happy Doomsday on one of their platforms. I am so proud of you, dude. I'm so glad you've come out of your show because you're an amazing artist. You're an amazing content creator. And you always ask, and I said exactly what Gaz said, was just go do it and then you'll learn from it.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
he's done that. So massive shout outs. But guys, yes, go do all the good stuff. Go follow their pages. Go follow Gaz on his journey as well. Bro, can't wait to see you at the next event. Catch up properly in person properly. I know it's
Yeah.
always a rush because I'm always trying to get that last train home. uh,
That's always a pleasure, though. It's always a pleasure.
no, definitely. Thanks for coming on to the show again. And